Hey, it's Patrick from J&P Cycles, and today we're going to be installing our S&S 2-in-1 Sidewinder exhaust on our brand new Milwaukee 8 Road Glide here. Let's take a look at the tools we're going to need to do this job. And we're going to need some needle nose pliers, a flat blade screwdriver, a 3/16 Allen, a torque wrench, a 3/8 ratchet with a 6-inch and a 3-inch extension, a 7/8 deep well socket, a 15mm deep well socket, a 9/16 deep well socket, a 1/2-inch deep well socket, a standard 1/2-inch socket, and a swivel, a 1/4-inch ratchet with a 6-inch extension, a 5/16 socket, a 1/2-inch deep well socket, and last but not least, a 1/2-inch wrench. So the first thing we need to do is get our saddlebags off, we'll get the muffler clamps loose, and pull our mufflers off the bike. So the next thing we're going to do is take our crossover pipe loose underneath, and we're going to pull our floorboard off up front. There's going to be 2 screws and a bracket in the back of the oil pan that we're going to need to put back in when we're done removing the crossover. Crossover is off, our brackets removed. We made sure to put our 2 Allen bolts back into the transmission pan. Now we're going to move up here and take off our floorboard. Now we're going to go ahead and loosen our flange nuts on our exhaust ports here, but before we pull the header all the way off, we're going to need to have a 1/2-inch wrench handy because we're going to take out our O2 sensors before we pull the header all the way off the bike. You're going to want to make sure you save the flange nuts. You're going to need to reuse them to install the new exhaust. We're going to pull this loose now and take our O2 sensors out. The next thing we're going to need to do is take these clips off and remove our flanges to use on the new exhaust. Okay, so our old exhaust was completely off. We have the new Sidewinder exhaust laying out in front of us on the table here, and there are a few things we have to do to prep it to get it ready to put on the bike. The first thing we're going to do is install our bushings for our O2 sensors, reinstall our flange clamps and our clamp to hold it to the bike, and then we're going to put our heat shields on. So we'll start with the O2 bushings. Now, if you're going to use a wideband O2 sensor, you can use the holes that are already in the pipe. Those 18 mils are perfect for a wideband setup if you're using some sort of closed loop or hot rod fuel injection controller. If you're going to use the stock O2 sensors, we're going to use these bushings they supplied in our kit here. Go ahead and put them in, tighten them up, and our stock O2 sensors will slide right in there. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to loosely put our support clamp on this bottom header pipe here. This is what's going to hold our pipe tight to the bike. We don't want to tighten up, we just want to loosely install it. Give it loosely on that header, and you can see the angled portion is facing forward. So it'll line up with our mount on the engine case. The next thing we're gonna wanna do is install our flanges that we stole off of our stock exhaust. You're gonna wanna make sure this smooth portion is facing down. There's a little bit of a groove in this top one. That's where the clip's gonna sit. Smooth part facing down, put the clip on over the top of it, and that's what'll hold our exhaust to the head. All right, so the next thing we're gonna do is put our heat shields on the pipe. We're not gonna put them on tight. We're just gonna keep them on there nice and loose, but we wanna refer to the instructions to make sure we face our clamps in the proper direction. Otherwise, when you get the pipe in the bike, you're gonna have a very difficult time tightening up the heat shields once they're on. We'll thread these in there so the screw heads are facing down so we can access them. And one thing I like to do once I get them fed through there is put a little bit of a bend in here. When you go to put them together, they go together a little easier. Okay, heat shields are on the header pipe, flanges are on, O2 sensor bushings are in. We're gonna head over the bike and get the header pipe bolted up to the bike. We got our header over here at the bike. We're gonna put our O2 sensors in the pipes and put the pipes on the heads. We're gonna make sure we put the rear one on first and pull the front one around without damaging the exhaust gaskets, and then loosely tighten up our flange nuts. So we have our flange nuts loosely on there. We're gonna grab our muffler, slide it on, and tighten up the bolts there before we move back here and tighten up the rest of the exhaust system. Okay, so we slid our clamp onto our muffler. We're gonna slide the muffler onto the header, and then we're gonna go ahead and tighten up our 2 rear screws before we do anything else. We're gonna torque our flange nuts to 120 inch-pounds, and we're gonna torque our side clamp here to 16 foot-pounds. All right, we'll move down. We'll torque our clamp on the muffler to 42 foot-pounds, and then we'll finish up our heat shields. All right, everything's bolted on solid. We're gonna put on our collector heat shield and then go ahead and tighten the rest of our heat shields up, wipe her down, and fire it up. We're gonna make sure we have our clamp facing down so we can get to it from the bottom. Then we're gonna take these 2 tabs here, slide them underneath our 2 heat shields here, and then tighten this up. Then we'll go on and tighten the rest of our heat shields after we have this set. Okay, heat shields are tight. We're gonna go ahead and remount our floorboard. We're gonna make sure to wipe our exhaust down really well before we start it so we don't burn any fingerprints into it. Get our bags on, and then we'll go ahead and listen to this sweet pipe. All right, bags back on, pipes wiped down. Let's hear some of this American-made horsepower. As always, if you like what you see here, please subscribe to us. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to comment in the comment section below. You can always call us on our 800 number or simply chat with us online. Now, go work on those motorcycles.